morning. Today we are starting a new chapter, chapter 7, Quit India Movement. A mass movement started in India for the attainment of freedom in 1942 under the guidance of Mahatma Gandhi. This movement is called the Quit India Movement. It was the last mass movement in the Indian national movement or in the Indian freedom struggle movement. The Quit India movement started when Second World War was going on. Second World War started in 1939 and ended in 1945. Second World War fought between 1939 and 1945. During this time, Indians also started a mass movement for the attainment of freedom that is called the Quit India Movement. When the Second World War started in 1939, the Viceroy of India, Lord Lithgow was the then Viceroy. He made an announcement that India is also a party. India is also a party in the Second World War as it is part of British Empire. Since India is a part of British Empire, India also joins the Second World War. That was the announcement made by the then Viceroy Lord Lithgow. But he made this announcement without consulting the Indian leaders. As per the Government of India Act of 1935, an election was held in India in 1937. And the Congress contested the election, and Congress formed its ministries in almost some 8 provinces. Congress formed ministries. So Congress was one of the leading political parties in India, one of the significant part in Indian national movement. And without consulting the Congress leaders and the Indian National Congress, the British made the announcement that India is joining in the Second World War was not felt good to the Indian leaders. They opposed the announcement made by the Viceroy. As a mark of their protest, Congress decided to resign all the ministries. Thus, as a mark of protest, the Congress resigned its ministries. When the Congress resigned the ministries, there arose a political deadlock between the Congress and the British government. A political deadlock was there. And in the initial years of war, the Second World War fought between 2 groups of nations. One is Allied powers and the other group is Axis powers. Britain was one of the leading members in the Allied nations. Britain, France, Russia, USA, like these nations formed the Allied powers, whereas the Axis powers was formed by Germany, Italy, Japan and some other nations. So these were the leading nations in Allied and Axis powers. And in the initial years of the war, the Axis powers were getting victories. Allied powers got much setback in the initial years of the war. And in 1940, another incident or another happening was there. In 1940, Winston Churchill was elected as the British Prime Minister. Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was elected as the British Prime Minister in 1940. And Amri was elected or appointed as the Secretary of State for India. Amri, Secretary of State. Secretary of State. So Winston Churchill, Prime Minister, and Amri, Secretary of State. Winston Churchill was in favor of granting freedom to India. So anyhow, Winston Churchill wanted to break the political deadlock between India and Britain. And during that time, there were some other international convulsions. International pressure was also there over Britain, and thus Britain was forced to make a compromise between India, and thus they made a promise, an offer. A promise was given to India that is called the August Offer. August Offer. In 1940, the Winston Churchill, Prime Minister, made a promise to the Indians, and that is called the August Offer. August Offer is not in our topic this year. So we will continue the next topic. The August Offer that was not a successful one, that was failure, because the terms of August Offer was not accepted by Congress as well as Muslim League. So during this time, the Axis powers were advancing, getting much lead in the war, and Japan was one of the leading nations in Asia. Japan was one of the members of the Axis powers, and Japan was leading in Asia. Most of the Asian countries were the colonies of these European nations, especially Britain, Dutch, like these various European countries made Asia as their colony, Asian countries, their colonies. When Second World War started, Japan started to attack these Asian nations, which were the colonies of the European countries, because most of these European countries were members of the Allied powers. Because of this reason, Japan started attacking these colonies of Allied powers. So thus, Japan was advancing towards India. After conquering one after another nations, Japan reached the border of India. Japan conquered Myanmar and reached the border of India. And the next target of Japan is to attack India. So in such a situation, it was very essential for the British to have a compromise with India. They needed the support of Indians in the Second World War. So thus, to get the support of the Indians in the Second World War, British sent a committee to India under the leadership of Sir Stafford Cripps. And this committee is known as Cripps Mission. The committee was sent, or the Cripps Mission was sent to India in order to have a meeting with the all political parties and to get the support of the Indians. to break the deadlock, the political deadlock. So thus they sent the Cripps mission. So here our topic is causes of the Quit India movement. We have to learn two causes. One is failure of Cripps mission and the second one is Japanese attack. Okay. So we are learning, first we are learning the course, the first course, that is Cripps mission. Cripps. Cripps mission 1942. It is called the Cripps mission after the name of Sir Stafford Cripps. Stafford Cripps. Stafford Cripps was the chairman of the Cripps mission, the head of the Cripps mission. So after the name of Stafford Cripps, this mission was known as Cripps mission. It was said the purpose of the Cripps mission was to break the political deadlock in India. A deadlock was prevailing between India or Indian National Congress and the British government, and to break this political deadlock, to have a compromise with the Indians and thus get the support of the Indians in the in the Second World War. British wanted to get the support of the Indians in the Second World War. That is why they sent this Cripps mission in 1942. And thus in March 1942, Sir Stafford Cripps reached India and he conducted an all-parties conference. And some of the main provisions of the Cripps mission was, or some of the main proposals put forward by Stafford Cripps or the Cripps mission were, one was, the first proposal was to grant dominion status to India. To grant dominion status to India. He announced that the aim or the purpose of the British in India is to grant dominion status to India, and India would be granted dominion status when the war is over, Second World War is over. Then he made the proposal for making a constituent assembly in order to frame the constitution. A constituent assembly would be formed, and he made a proposal for the formation of Constituent Assembly, and some other proposals were there. But our topic, failure of Cripps mission. Our topic is causes for the launching of Quit India movement, and one of the main cause is failure of the Cripps mission. We need not learn all the proposals made by Stafford Cripps. We need to learn why the Cripps proposals were failure or the Cripps mission was a failure. So we have to learn some of the reasons why the proposals were failure. Some of the reasons for the failure of the proposal. First one is Cripps announced that India would be granted dominion status when the war is over. Okay. That means there is no certainty, there is no assurance when the British would grant dominion status. They did not give a promise to grant freedom in the near future. Okay, that is one of the reasons for failure of the Cruz mission. No promise. No promise for granting freedom in the first reason was there was no promise for granting freedom in the near future. What was their promise? The first promise of Stafford was that India would be granted dominion status, that means freedom, dominion status, when the war is over. And when the war would end, there is no surety. The war may end. It was promised that this mission came in 1940 and the war got over in 1945. But we cannot predict that when the war would end. It may last 10 years, or if it is ending after 20 years, then after 20 years only India would get freedom. So just imagine. So since there was no assurance, no promise for granting freedom in the near future, the Congress rejected the plan or rejected the proposal. Another reason for the rejection, the plan, another provision was, it was proposed that India would be formed a union of British Indian provinces and princely states. India would be formed a union or a federation of British Indian states and princely states. Okay, it was well and good. But he added with that proposal that he added one more point that if any of the province does not like to join in the union, such a province can make a constitution of its own and it can have a separate dominion status. If any of the province does not join with the Indian Union, such a province can make a constitution for that province and that province can start separately. That province does not need to join with the Indian Union. That means the plan meant the partition of the country. Okay, directly there is no mention about the partition of the country, but that indirectly means partition of the country or division of the country. It meant the division of country. Okay. Then one more point, they did not accept the same point only. This non-accession of province that was not liked by the Congress. They rejected non-accession of the provinces. Okay, we can mention one that is rejected. Rejected the proposal of a non-accession of non-accession provinces. See, because of these three reasons, the Congress rejected the proposals. Okay, first one, promise. There was no promise for granting freedom in the near future. Second, it meant division of the country. Third, the Congress rejected it because of rejected the point of non-accession of the provinces. It included non-accession of provinces and that was rejected by the Congress. So these are the rejected is not noted here. Non-accession was also kept point mentioning, or a provision mentioning non-accession of the provinces was also there. And because of these three reasons, the Congress rejected the Cripps proposals. You know, Congress was the majority political party in India, the major political party in India, and Muslim League, that was a minority political party. The two main political parties in India were, one is Indian National Congress and the second one is Muslim League, two all India political parties. And Congress was major party and Muslim League was minority. So these three reasons, the Congress rejected the proposals. Then second political party, that is Muslim League. Muslim League also rejected the Cripps proposals. Why Muslim League rejected? From 1940 onwards, the Muslim League was demanding for dividing India into two and creating a separate nation for the Muslims. From 1940 onwards, the Muslims were demanding for a separate nation for the Muslims, and that is called Pakistan. Two-nation theory was put forward by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leader of the Muslim League, and as per the two-nation theory, their only demand was to create a separate nation for the Muslims. From 1940 onwards, that was their only demand. And the Cripps mission did not give any assurance, or it did not mention about the creation of Pakistan. There was no mention about the creation of Pakistan in the Cripps proposal. That is why Muslims were not happy. They rejected the Cripps mission. Okay. Muslim rejection. Why Muslims rejected the Cripps proposal? No mention for the no mention for the creation of Pakistan. The Cripps proposals did not mention the creation of Pakistan. That's why the Muslims were not happy. So Muslim League also rejected the Cripps mission or the Cripps proposals. So two of the all India political parties in India rejected. Okay. Then again, Hindu Mahasabha also rejected the proposal because they also feared partitioning the country. This non-accession of provinces, there was just a mention, there was just a lead to the division of the country. That's why Hindu Mahasabha also feared that this proposals or the provisions of the Cripps mission, that is meant for a division in the country. Next reason is the minorities. Some of the minorities like the Anglo-Indians, Indian Christians, Sikhs, labor leaders, like these minority communities were not happy because there are no sufficient safeguards for their interest given in the Cripps mission. No sufficient safeguards were given for the interest of the minorities like the Sikhs, Anglo-Indians, Indian Christians, and the labor leaders. Then one more reason is there for the failure of the Cripps mission. The people of the princely states were not happy. People of the princely states were not happy because the Cripps mission made the proposal for the formation of Constituent Assembly, and how to compose the Constituent Assembly was also mentioned in the Cripps proposal. It is the Constituent Assembly would be formed by the elected representatives of the lower house of Indian legislature as well as the nominated members of the princely states. The rulers of the princely states would nominate members, and these members would form the Constituent Assembly. Here, the princely states had no role in sending their representatives because rulers only can select the members of the princely states, or the representatives of the princely states would be selected by the rulers only and not by the people. So here the people of the princely states felt that their interest is also hurt in the Cripps proposals. That is why people of princely states were also not happy. They also rejected the Cripps mission. So because of these all reasons, the Cripps proposals were rejected, and when majority of the community of India rejected the proposals of Cripps mission, the Cripps mission became a failure. And failure of the Cripps mission is one of the reasons for starting the Quit India movement. One more reason is there for the Quit India movement, that is the Japanese attack. Japanese attack we will learn in the next class. So you learn this reason, that is Cripps mission or failure of Cripps mission. You read and you learn.